Greetings, spooks, and welcome to the Friday Night Spooktacular visual novel stream with the Book Club for Masochists, a reader's advisory podcast. My name is Matthew. I am one of the hosts of the Book Club for Masochists, a reader's advisory podcast. My tongue is not doing things today. Joining me this evening is one of my regular podcast co-hosts and occasional visual novel co-hosts. Who's
RJ.
Laughing? Yes, RJ. Thank you.
I'm also here.
Yes, and we will be playing a game called Where... I can't remember what they're called now. Line House? What are those stick...
Where House.
Where Pipe House.
What is that?
It's a pipe.
Where Pipe House.
Right. Anyway, so if you're unfamiliar with the podcast, Book Club for Masochists, a reader's advisory podcast, is a reader's advisory. It's a library podcast where every month we pick a new genre of fiction or nonfiction at random and then read books from that genre and discuss them. We're reading business books right now, business nonfiction. Let me tell you, I am unenthused about that genre. So if you like listening to people hate things that they've read, check out that episode when it comes out next month.
Yeah. It's going to be a tough one.
It'll be a challenge for us. Yep, and we also have an episode where we're going to play the game Happy Birthday Dracula. That will come out in a couple weeks. So yeah, check it out if you want to, Book Club for M, or just go and search for Book Club for Masochists on your favorite podcast app. Anyway, let's get into the game. So this is one of the games that was made for the Spooktober Visual Novel Jam Fest thing, where people had 30 days to make a game. And so this one is called Warehouse, W-E-R-E, Pipe House, spelled normally. I spent so long looking at this logo, the WH here, and being like, oh, if I flip it upside down, does it spell something else? No, it's just a W and a H. I feel kind of foolish for taking so long to figure this out. But
I can see that because I was taking a picture of their itch store page for the Instagram post I made about half an hour ago, and spent so long looking at the page being like, wait, where's a logo or the name of the game? And it took me so long to realize that this was a W and an H. Oh, that's the logo.
I think it's because they're not the same font. That's what I'm going to blame it on.
Right, yeah. And
at any rate.
They're not the same font, and one font is quite that the W barely looks like a W.
I think it's more the H is so fancy that it looks like it could be if you flip it upside down different letters. I think that's really what it was.
Right, yeah.
But why would you have a logo like that on a digital only game? You can't flip your screen upside down to look at the other version of the logo. Okay. Anyway,
enough dunking on this game.
I don't want to do that. I'm excited to play this. So we're gonna date.
Yeah, me too.
Some people, hopefully. We put it up on our Twitter to see who we would date. Of the, I believe we're the character on the far left, and then the other three are our potential dates or partners or romantic, whatever's you want to call it. We put it up, and Morag the Kelpie, who I believe is the one. Kind of the teal, pointy ears, black clothing one, pale. That is who we were going for. Yeah, the goth. That's probably the one I would have chosen anyway. So I'm all for this. Without further ado, let's get into this, I think.
Yeah.
New game. I bet Halloween this year is gonna suck. Yeah. That's that's COVID time. That it is gonna suck. Too real. Okay, maybe I'm just in a bad mood. The job interview is over now, at least, but it went just as well as all the others have lately, which is not well. This is also too real for me right now. And besides, I'm right. No doubt this Halloween I'll be stuck at home with my siblings all night with nothing else to do. This street hasn't made much of an effort to dress itself up for the season. Either. It's only a few days away until Halloween, but all I can see is a few badly carved jack-o'-lanterns up in one of the apartment windows and a piece of orange tinsel blowing limply in the wind. I also feel that this is a personal attack, as I've done literally nothing to decorate.
I usually don't decorate for Halloween, but for the first time, I'm in a new apartment this year that has a stoop, and so I have 7 pumpkins.
What? RJ, you have to share a photo of this with me.
6 of them are very small. It does not look that impressive. I bought 6 of them together in a bag of very small pumpkins. But
I kind of want to buy a lot of tiny pumpkins and just start going around the neighborhood and leaving them on the front doors of houses that have children in them, and start some sort of weird pumpkin fairy, pumpkin goblin mythology.
Start some local folklore. I love that.
Like if you're very good, the pumpkin goblin will come and give you a pumpkin.
That's so great. I will say I bought these pumpkins in part because I went to the grocery store looking for eggnog, and when they didn't have it, I bought a pumpkin or a bag of pumpkins to make myself feel better.
I was hoping, I kind of wish you'd bought them individually, or you hadn't told us that you bought it in a bag, because then it's yes, every time you went to the store to buy eggnog and there was no eggnog, you bought a pumpkin. 7 pumpkins later.
7 pumpkins, yeah.
Okay.
There was one time I went and there was no eggnog, so I bought pumpkin beer. But yes, I have a lot of pumpkins.
More of the
continue.
game. I'd forgotten it was even that close to Halloween until today, to be honest, when one of the interviewers asked me if I was dressing up this year. Damn, it's getting dark. I should have called home before I left, really, but it's too late. Now that I'm almost there, my family will be pissed that I'm not home already, but it's not my fault the job interview ran so late. Not that I'll get it, or that I really want to get it. Oh, that's
Ooh.
Personal. But I have to keep applying for everything I see, I guess. Never mind. I shove my earbuds deeper into my ears and cross the street, heading into the front yard of the abandoned warehouse on the sprawling corner lot. Wire digs into my palm as I hop the fence. It's a bit of a drop to the other side, and I always end up with weeds caught in my shoelaces. But the shortcut around the front gate and across the warehouse car park is quicker. The hike through the abandoned warehouse yard is kind of spooky, but it's worth it not to have to walk all the way around the corner and down the laneway, even if the asphalt of the car park is nearly invisible underneath the blown-in sand and weeds. That sounds like the sort of thing I would do. I'm really lazy. Lazy enough to climb 2
lazy
fences.
Lazy enough to hop a fence.
Yeah. And walk through a spooky abandoned warehouse. Saves a couple minutes walk anyway, and I've always kind of liked this old place, even though it's crumbling. It feels kind of like an old friend somehow. Except it doesn't. Not today. I cut through this yard all the time, more often than I'd admit to my parents, but something's different this time. I'm not sure if it was just a breeze, but the hairs on the back of my neck go up all at once. But it's probably nothing. I've walked this way millions of times. I amble further along the left arm of the warehouse that reaches around the corner of the block and into the car park, but unlike any of the other million times I walked towards the corner, though, I can see light. Soft, golden light filtering through the building's dusty windows and around the pitted bricks of the corner wall. My head whips around and my headphones fall straight out of my ears. Before I have time to scrabble in the dirt for them, I realize that I can hear voices coming from around the corner too. As much as I do value my own safety, and lingering around an abandoned warehouse after dark is hardly smart, I can't help myself. Instead of backing away, I go stock still and listen.
So like I was saying, I still think the theme for this year is a bit too vague.
What do you think the theme is?
The theme is ghosts.
That is pretty vague. Ghosts.
Pretty vague. I'll do this person too. It isn't. We went through your whole list, and this was the best one. Shouldn't have used up all our creativity. Oh, do you want to do this one?
I'll do the orange one.
I mean, we can't. We're not going to be able to. We're not going to be able to tell who is who.
Yeah. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. Shouldn't have used up all our creativity in the first years, huh? What on earth are they talking about? I go to peek around the side wall with just one eye, not my whole body. I'm not stupid, and then I finally see it.
With just one eye. Sorry.
I like the idea that
just imagining,
just holding it out around the corner.
Out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't see their faces in the dark, but there's 2 silhouettes in the yard behind the warehouse, seeming to belong to whoever was having the argument I overheard. There's also some kind of big, dark shape looming behind them. Might be a bush or a tree because it's moving, though there's no breeze. Trees just move. That's just something that happens. The golden light is coming from behind the figures, where there's a tiny campfire, which has to be illegal this time of year. Also, I'm pretty sure this warehouse is private property, so that's 2 strikes in the illegal column for this group of weirdos. A, this group of weirdos could own the warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
Then the shape behind the pair...
Also, you're here too.
Yeah, I know. So it's 1 strike against me, so 3 strikes and we're all done. Then the shape behind the pair moves, and in the dim light, I finally put together that the shape is a horse? Okay, that's surprising. A tall black one with a mane and tail that fall in soft ringlets, and a coat so shiny it even reflects the dim orange firelight.
Huh.
Okay, so I have a lot
that the Kelpie?
Of questions. Could be. I'm busy looking for the third person, because I heard 3 voices, unless one of them was practicing their ventriloquy or something.
Ventriloquism is the word.
Yes. When the missing third voice comes straight out of the horse's mouth.
I don't know about your creativity, but I'm pretty sure I wrote pretty much the whole list this time around, so you can hardly talk.
I don't mean that as a metaphor, by the way. The horse tosses its mane as it at the ground in irritation as it flicks its tail towards one of the other silhouettes. And then it really is unmistakable. That's a talking horse. Okay. Before I can catch myself, I go skittering backwards a step. Because what the fuck? My foot catches an abandoned, twisted scrap of metal on the ground. Because, of course it does. The metal goes crashing past the wall into the open with the loudest noise I think I've ever heard in my life. Well, you know, that's better than what I thought was going to happen, which was that I was going to have to get a tetanus shot after cutting myself on this rusty piece of metal.
Yeah. What was that? Think we've got company.
Want me to deal with it? Yeah, we need names so that we can figure out who's saying who. Footsteps are coming closer.
I think based on the colors, like this is the Kelpie.
No, that's a Gorgon.
No thanks, actually. Oh, I don't want another statue to lug around. I think the yellow is the Gorgon.
Well, statues and black Gorgons. What does that even mean? Yeah. I can't seem to make myself move, and there's no way I could run all the way back to the street and hurdle the fence in time anyway. So I just cower close to the shadow of the wall, hoping somehow they'll miss me.
Please make them stop wailing all threateningly like that. For the last time, you're not actually allowed to deal with it anyway. Like, legally. It is murder.
The word murder reverberates in my ears like a shockwave, and I swallow past what feels like a brick in my throat. This can't be good. People who hang out in abandoned warehouses after dark aren't usually chill, friendly types, right? I feel personally insulted. Like, I haven't done it recently, but I have very fond memories of going to a cocktail party in an abandoned hospital, where we all dressed up in our best spooky university student garb. So not that spooky or classy. I squish myself further into a crack in the wall as 3 humanoid silhouettes come around the corner, one of them carrying their phone like a torch. A torch? Someone is not from America.
Is this British?
They're led by someone dressed in dark, kind of fancy clothing. She looks wet for some reason. And I think there are plants in her hair, kelp or riverweed, twinned with the strands like it belonged there, or twined with the strands. Now that they're closer, I can see the other 2 are hardly normal either. The taller one has wolf-like ears, slender and tall, sprouting from the top of his head. And now that he's away from the fireplace, I can see that he's glowing. Eerie green light is seeping from his eyes and from his mouth when he opens it to speak. The other is shorter and dressed in a way that is almost threateningly cool, or at least it would be if all the yellow snakes sprouting from their head weren't competing for the fear factor. I can tell already that they see me, but nobody seems to be doing anything too threatening, yet at least. Ignoring the others, the taller one in the center, with the ears. I feel like at least 2 of them have the ears.
That's true.
Steps closer to me, past the other 2. I break out in a sweat. He's very tall, and whether he means to or not, he's looming over me.
Hi.
That was friendlier than I expected.
What's your name?
What? Okay. My name? So RJ and I were just talking about like what we should name our like kind of default character name for these games. And we were unable to come up with one in the 2 minutes we had to think of this.
I feel like I watched another stream where you used all like Corvid names.
Yes.
And I feel like if we
Crow Cafe, sorry. I think. And so we went with
I see.
Ravina, and then I think just Magpie, and I can't remember if we just went with Crow as well. We died a lot in that one, I think.
Yeah. I was gonna say if we use Raven is like a spooky name, and it also starts with RA.
Oh.
For readers advisory.
That's good. It's like, so what we did before was we put an A on the end to make it more name-like. Slightly less goth.
People are named Raven.
Yeah, they are, but it's like
it's pretty goth. It's a pretty goth move.
It is pretty goth. Okay. What do we? I'm happy with they as our pronouns for this.
Yeah.
What would you like? Okay. And you want to leave it as
let's
Raven?
Stick with they.
I kind of want to capitalize the A.
You could. Raven.
Raven. No, that looks terrible. Okay. I kind of liked putting it at the end, like having it as like, oops,
Ray,
like Ravenna or Ravenna. I don't know how to pronounce this actually, but it's like, I don't know. I prefer being more naming, but we can just leave it as Raven if you want. Okay. Let us know what you think it should be, please. If it can be some sort of like horrible default Reader's Advisory pun name, please tell us. That is kind of what I would be ideal.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, my name's Raven. They, them pronouns. Thanks. So, you're not human? Good start.
No shit.
She's got like vampire teeth, or they've got vampire teeth too.
Hmm. Did you miss the part where I was a talking horse just then, or?
Yeah, what's up with that? Despite how weirdly calm, I'm managing to keep my voice. My heart is beating in my throat. But for the next few seconds, they all kind of stand there. The one who used to be a horse folds her arms, somehow both furious and perfectly disinterested. Could one of you tell me what's going on here? You know, I think the other reason I'm not super blah, blah, blah. I just noticed that the taller one has a tail and it's wagging furiously. Oh, yep, I just noticed that too. Hadn't noticed that before. Down there at the bottom of the screen, above settings.
It's so nice to meet you, Raven. I'm Cormac.
Okay, do you want to split them up a bit? Who else should I be? Not the Kelpie, because hopefully we'll have a lot of one-on-ones.
I would say you should be the Kelpie, except we're gonna try to romance the Kelpie. So yeah, probably I'll be the werewolf and the Kelpie, and you can be the Gorgon.
Cool. That seems good to me. Oh, they have a they/them button on pin.
Yeah.
He looks over to his left expectantly, but she's ignoring all three of us now.
And this here is Morag.
Guess we're doing introductions. I'm Eseth. This is feeling much more like a chat around the water cooler than the horrific supernatural murder scene I was expecting. Not to be that guy, but Cormac, are you a werewolf or what? I'll get to the one with the snakes in a minute.
Oh, yeah, that. We're all monster folk. Demi-humans, to be exact.
Myths and legends are less mythical than you might expect.
Morag here is a Kelpie, Irish water spirits who can shapeshift into horses. Oh, should I be doing an Irish accent?
No, please, no, don't have to do that.
I can try.
Look, RJ, as an Irish citizen, this is what I sound like. I have the passport. True. It's fine.
We drown people way less often than the myths say, I swear. And Eseth is a Gorgon, if you didn't guess.
Did you see that one of the snakes is a bow?
Yes, it's very adorable.
It's very cute. I like that a lot. I haven't exactly seen you around. What are you all doing back here? Apart from not attacking me on sight, which is kind of what I've been expecting since they came around the corner.
We're the organizing committee of the Warehouse Haunted House.
I've never heard of it. Cormac almost looks offended.
Well, we're only the premier destination for spooky seasonal entertainment in the whole city. We've been the highest rated local haunted house on Yarp and Hextador for 3 years running. You've really never heard of the Warehouse?
Okay, I desperately want Hextador to exist. Desperately. I mean, Hextador. I know what a warehouse is, at least. We're standing right next to one.
No. I can just hear that you're spelling it wrong in your head. It's warehouse with an E.
What? Why?
It was a pun. The theme of the first warehouse was werewolves, spooky howling noises, wolf silhouettes, stalking each group of people, the whole shebang. I didn't mind the name then, but it's stuck and now it makes no sense. It's only half a joke. Morag, for the last time, we're not changing the name.
It's still a pun anyway. Not like you stopped being a werewolf after the first year. The snakes on top of Eseth's head all point right, like they want to gesture towards Cormac, but can't be bothered moving their arms.
Yes, but the public doesn't. The public don't know that, do they? I hope not. Present company notwithstanding.
Oh, that's me.
Besides, Cormac, you're not the one who has to deal with all the emails and comments asking what the name means. I'm sick to death of it.
To be totally honest, Cormac does not look like the sort of person that deals with emails.
No. Oh, I can help answer the emails if you want. I love talking to new people.
Yes, you do.
On second thought, never mind. I'll deal with it. What do you mean? I thought you were really snowed under this year. Yes, but I don't think your help would actually solve that. Are you forgetting all the times you told people you'd answer them and then left them on read for weeks from our official account?
I was right. Or the time you told the lady she could bring her dog, and then it smelled you out as a threat and nearly ruined the whole thing hunting you down? Cormac's ears flicked to the side, distressed.
Anyway, Raven, I still can't believe you've never heard of us.
We moved in just after Halloween last year, so I guess you'd already left. And it's not like this place looks like the premier seasonal entertainment spot, you know. I'd be offended, but that's kind of the aesthetic we're going for. So, Cormac turns back towards the other two.
So, what do we do about this?
I'm right here.
Best we keep an eye on them, right?
My cheeks go pale. I don't want to know what she means by that.
Don't look so afraid. We wouldn't do anything horrible to you, I promise.
Morag and Eseth don't look like they totally endorse that statement, but weirdly, I kind of trust Cormac. It's hard to tell if it's just an act or not, but he comes off much more like an overgrown puppy than a scary werewolf.
We just need to keep the fact that we're real monsters under wraps, that's all. You can do that for us, right, Raven?
The fact that they didn't immediately start screaming when they saw us is probably a good sign.
I feel like you might be putting a lot of faith in someone you met minutes ago.
She's not wrong. Well, why don't you stick around for the next few days, Raven? Maybe help us with the haunted house?
Oh no, I don't... As if that's a wonderful idea.
Cormac's voice runs over Morag's like a freight train, but I get the feeling she's used to that.
If Raven is dog-tired from helping us set up, then they won't have time to plot about revealing us or gather evidence or any of that.
I kind of want them all to make terrible puns based on the animal related to them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, not even puns, just like phrases and stuff. I don't know how many like horse or snake related phrases there are, but like I'm sure just look them up and just like shove them into the dialogue as awkwardly as possible.
Yeah, I mean, we've already got from the horse's mouth.
Oh, here we go. They're actually pointing it out. Heh, dog tired. Morag rolls her eyes, but I doubt Cormac even noticed that. He's too wound up in their wonderful idea, I guess.
And it's not like there's nothing in it for you too, Raven. Think about all the cool kinds of monsters you'll get to meet in a totally safe way. That's a novelty for humans, right?
I'd be signed up for this.
I mean, also, legally we have to pay you, so there's that.
Oh, good, because I don't take work for exposure, even when it's for supernatural monster folk who may or may not kill me if I say no. Not to give you any ideas, but why aren't you just like bribing me or throwing me into the river or something? Morag makes us avoid murder if we can. She rolls her eyes, reaching across Cormac and flicking one of Eseth's snakes between the eyes. The whole chorus of snakes hisses back at her. I make a concerted effort to be extremely cool about it and not resort to my first instinct, which is to at the very least, scream. That's a lot of snakes. How many snakes is that? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I count 6 heads, but more bodies.
Mm-hmm. If we count from the roots.
True.
There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 at least.
I think more like 12. It's hard to count, but yeah, I guess 12 is a lot.
Yeah.
I guess 8 is probably a lot, especially when they're kind of like someone's head.
For me, 2 or 3 snakes is a lot. So yeah, it's a lot of snakes. Aside from murder being, morally wrong, dealing with the legal system is so much extra paperwork. Making you work Halloween night is the only way I can think of to make sure you don't go to the police before we have time to bump out of the warehouse and get out of town.
We're not an arc. No way. Plus, a wage is kind of like a bribe, right? That is very true. Very true. This all sounds flimsy at best, but I do need the money, so I don't want to look any further into this than I need to. Here goes, I guess. Okay, I'm in. Honorary human member of the Monster Committee or whatever. Cormac's tail wags excitedly, and even Morag looks kind of mollified. So now what? Oh yeah, what do we have them do then? My favorite part of every visual novel, the ... dialogue. Oh, perfect. Multiples of them have it.
Don't look at me. I've had the task roster sorted for ages. You both have the link to the spreadsheet. You should have at least read it. This character was built for you.
I don't know what you're talking about. Well, we have 3 days to fill for them. We do have a lot to do, but no one thing would last that long.
I'd say you should work ticket sales since you pull off being human the best. They are human, you moron.
It's also Halloween. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's true. Anyway, Clarissa loves that. I can never take it away from her.
Eseth leans over to fill me in. All conspiratorial. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Clarissa's a succubus. All that positive energy of excited and nervous people is like heaven for her at the ticket booth.
Also, just she's an extrovert, I guess.
Can't relate. Maybe Raven could sort of tag along with one of us, then for the next few days at least, until the actual haunt on Halloween night.
Kind of like an understudy.
Is like weird mist coming out of his mouth?
Yeah, I feel like the way I interpreted it in the like picture is that it's like doggy breath.
Yeah, it's gross.
Yeah, I kind of love though that all 3 characters have some little like weird imperfection.
Well,
like he's got doggy breath.
Morag's just wet.
Morag is wet, like looks kind of sweaty, and then Eseth has like the crack down her face. So I think I like that. The art overall is like super cute. I like it a lot.
I really like the art, yeah.
Yeah. Morag, that's me.
Yes.
I mean, not really.
More like an apprentice, right?
I've always wanted one of those.
I'm amazed they get anything done at all with how much they bicker and how easily distracted Cormac is. Their meetings must go on for hours. Anyway, I've bitten off more than I can chew this year. I could use the help.
Well, so could I just as much. We've been put behind by somebody's negligence.
No points for guessing who she just glared daggers at. He doesn't even blink though. Either very unobservant or very used to it, and turns to me instead.
Well, you choose then. Who do you want to work with for the next few days?
Help Morag with whatever it is she does.
Here we go.
Help Eseth handle their jobs. Be Cormac's understudy. Morag it is. Yep.
Morag, according to the poll.
Answering emails. Spreadsheets. I'm all for this.
Great. I might finally be able to make some headway then. It also seems like she does the most work and needs the most help.
Like, do you want to know what I spent a bunch of the last 2 days doing? I was participating in like a Wikidata jam. Updating like Wikidata things for old comic book publishers and linking together like catalog records with Wikidata entries.
Yep.
This is what I do for fun. She looks over at me with something approaching gratefulness, but it escapes her quickly. So what exactly is it that you do then? Morag just looks at me flatly.
Human resources.
Eseth barely has time to open their mouth to start making the obvious joke before Morag is shooting them an icy glare. They dither for a moment before deciding better of it and snapping their mouths shut, though the snakes writhe a little, darting their tongues out in her direction.
Anyway, Raven, meet me tomorrow at 9 and we can get started. Give me your number and I'll text you the address.
9 a.m.? That's so early. But she's all business. There's no way I can argue with her, and it's too late to back out now, so I pull out my phone. Soon after, once all the arrangements are figured out, the 3 committee members tip dirt over the fire, their meeting over. I wave and then head home, finally finishing my usual cut corner path across the yard of the warehouse. Sorry, warehouse. At least I have a job now, I guess.
Hooray.
I wake up the next morning in a cold sweat. My alarm doesn't go off, and I'm late. of course. Pretty generic room.
Mm-hmm.
I throw on whatever. Same hoodie as yesterday. It'll do. But there's no time for coffee. I do take a moment to look at the kettle longingly as I run out the front door and pelt down the road to the bus stop.
There's always time for coffee.
Luckily, both me and the bus are always running late. After the bus trip, which is almost long enough to catch my breath, I jog up the steps and manage to ring the doorbell of what I assume is Morag's fancy apartment before I nearly run myself into the door. Geez, showing up late, a mess, on my first day of work at the front gate of someone who is now technically my boss. Nailing it already, Raven.
What?
The sudden voice behind the door nearly makes me fall right back off the steps into the road. After a rattle of chain, the door swings open and Morag pokes her head out, her expression sort of smug and self-satisfied.
Raven, I'm going to assume from your face that you were talking to yourself just then, not me, right?
I can't muster a reply, so I just attempt a smile and said, try not to pant too hard. She doesn't even look weirded out, just amused. I guess the bar for weird is pretty low when you're a monster person.
Anyway, come in.
Man, it's fancy in here. With the big panes of glass and classy leather couches, it's almost intimidatingly tasteful. There's minimalist art on the walls and tasteful indoor plants that don't even look plastic, but are far too green for comfort. How old did she say she was again? Nobody I know my age can afford to rent any kind of apartment, let alone something like this. I hover awkwardly in the entranceway, trying to figure out where I'm supposed to sit, and quickly. She said to bring my laptop, so I did, but it weighs about as much as a brick, and the strap is currently halfway through cutting my arm in half. Morag breezes past me to the living room, though, as cool as ever.
Make yourself at home, I guess. Just don't put your feet on the coffee table.
Not that I would. It's glass, delicately framed with thin metal legs, and I can't just imagine my foot going right through it. I would never. I put on a kind of mockingly formal air, trying to see if I can get past her icy exterior. She almost smiles and lets out a little huff of breath through her nose. Yes, a win for Raven.
Cormac absolutely would, though, unfortunately, which is why he's relegated exclusively to the kitchen now.
Yeah, that seems fair. I follow her over to the living room and flop down across from her on the other couch. It's clean and tidy in here, which is hardly surprising, but the coffee table is kind of a disaster. There's stacks of paper scattered all over it, and a laptop perching on one of the piles, wobbling a little dangerously. Mark follows my gaze and scowls.
Now you see why I needed your help.
What is all this?
Sign-up forms mostly, and some waivers from all the crew who are working the house this year.
She sighs heavily and plops down on the couch, cracking open a slim laptop of her own.
Usually I have us set up with online forms and everything, and last year we already had everything in the database, so I only needed to onboard new people. But Cormac lost the password, and instead of calling me, he managed to try wrong password so many times that we got locked out.
From the little time I've known him, that checks out, honestly.
Now we have to do everything manually and enter it into the database ourselves. Just getting the forms to everyone and making everyone actually send them back has been a nightmare, let alone actually cataloging everything.
She flashes me what I'm sure was meant to be a winning smile, but it comes across as kind of frazzled, maybe even predatory. It was only brief, but I'm pretty sure I spotted fangs in there. That's where I come in, I guess.
Exactly. With two of us going through and processing everything, at least then we should be able to get through it faster.
I'm hardly a master receptionist or whatever, but I'll give it a go. At least this means I don't have to ask her for the Wi-Fi password. I crack open my beast of laptop and find an adapter to plug it into. Old batteries got a very short lifespan these days. And take the first sheet off the pile closest to me, once Morag directs me to the online spreadsheet we're using to catalog them all. Wait, but I do need the Wi-Fi password then.
Mm-hmm.
So, is it mostly monster folk who work in the haunted house, or demi-humans, was it?
Demi-humans, yes, most of us prefer that. Though there's some debate. There isn't there always with that kind of thing?
Sure. Not that I know exactly what she means by that kind of thing.
Anyway, yes, it's almost entirely supernatural folk. There's very few humans who are in on the secret, at least in this area.
I'm honored, I guess. Even if you're putting me to work immediately and kind of threaten me with death a little. She laughs, a liquid rumble deep in her throat.
Empty threats all, I'm afraid.
Sure.
I'm sure you're gathered, but the whole secrecy thing was a pretty poor excuse to bring you on board anyway. Cormac loves everyone he meets, of course, and Eseth is a scarily good judge of character. So as soon as they relaxed around you, I felt pretty sure you weren't about to rat us out to your local scientist or zoo or what have you.
Sure, I guess. I'd like to think I wouldn't have called the cops or anything, but you never know. It was a close race between my curiosity and the other part of my brain that saw monster people and started immediately screaming obscenities. Hasn't stopped screaming since, really, but it's getting quieter. Helps that Morag and the rest are oddly kind of normal despite appearances.
To tell you the truth, I jumped on the idea because I think we're in a little over our heads. We've still only done a few houses so far, but the warehouse just seems to get more and more popular every year, so we keep upping and upping the spectacle and the amount of people involved. But the central committee is still just the three of us. And the other two, well, they don't necessarily pull their weight when it comes to administration.
Unsurprising. I can hardly picture Cormac sitting still for more than 5 minutes, let alone making a spreadsheet. I'm all for more pleasantries, but Morag doesn't really strike me as the type for small talk, and before long she's ignoring me entirely, writing entire sentences without looking down at her keyboard. Damn, she can even type better than me. Following suit, I let myself recline a little bit on the sofa. I'm not used to leather, and it takes a bit to get comfy without squeaking every time I move, and pick up the stack of forms, balancing my laptop on top. It's not too difficult, really. I just have to type up each line of information on the entry and waiver forms into its corresponding box in Morag's spreadsheet, and then check a couple of boxes to make sure it's been filled out properly. Before long, though, my eyes are beginning to water, and I have to look away from my screen for a bit. Not that I'm used to staring at my laptop screen all day. I'm probably too good at it, actually. Sigh. But the numbers are starting to swim around in front of my eyes, and my concentration goes out the window. I risk a glance over at Morag. She's barely even moved, still trucking away, and I'm alarmed. And I'm alarmed to see that she's made a sizable dent in her pile of forms, while my finished pile is just a few papers deep. Can I chalk her typing speed up to her supernatural powers? Probably not. Anyway, I need a break, so I decided to take a chance at asking her something. I certainly have a lot of questions about all this. Okay, which question do we want to ask? How come you bother with all this paperwork when you're already hiding from the government? Didn't you have paper copies of the database from last year? Ever thought to color code your spreadsheets?
I think the second or third one. Maybe the second.
I'm nervous. Like the third one seems like it could be rude. Like it's definitely it's like it could be high risk, high reward.
I think all of them might be rude.
True,
like the first one is like.
I guess let's go with number 2. I don't like that one. Seems kind of whatever.
Kind of just like for my workflow. I'm curious what happened to the paper copies from last year.
Definitely.
Oh
Fangs. No! Look at that. Morag makes a face, pained and more than a little annoyed. Hopefully not at us.
Yeah. Raven, we did certainly. The first year of the haunted house was a little sloppy, I'll admit. We were all caught up in the process and nobody had figured out how to force Cormac to put the brakes on before he expanded our scope way out of control. But some of our paper trail got lost in between the first year and last year, and then Eseth's place flooded, so the rest of our records were ruined.
She narrows her eyes at me.
Trust me, I would not be doing this unless we absolutely had to.
I try and grasp her some kind of joke to lighten the mood, but her gaze is like steel.
Oh no, we might have fucked up.
Okay, sorry. I think I like this better when everything that went wrong was somehow Cormac's fault.
Anyway, get back to work, please. I promise. I'm having about as much fun as you are.
Somehow I doubt that. She looks like someone who would derive a perverse kind of pleasure from filling out a spreadsheet. Hours pass. They're the slowest hours I've ever experienced. I barely believe time is passing at all, to be honest. But every time I look, the hand on the living room clock is still moving. Morgan and I plow our way through the mountain of paperwork in front of us. She's still much faster than I am, but I'm catching up slowly, though I can feel my brain starting to leak out my ears from the effort of wrestling with all this. I think the problem is that you didn't eat breakfast. Honestly. No coffee, no breakfast, and then doing this, that would make the brain get out of my mind. Finally, I let my head tip backward onto the back of the couch, letting out a groan. I don't even try to stop. We're not done, not even close, but if I have to read another word, I think I'll scream out loud. I wish I were dead.
Yeah, you should have just let us kill you yesterday.
I'm only 99% sure she's joking, but I can't be bothered being scared anymore. Abruptly, Morag shoves her laptop onto the table and stands up, stalking into the kitchen. I blink, rubbing my eyes, though there's still a big rectangular afterimage behind them, and look up and over my shoulder to the kitchen.
Cup of hot?
What? She stares at me from behind the kitchen counter. She's almost obscured by the bench, since the kitchen is higher than the sunken lounge, but I can make out just fine the way she's looking at me like I'm an idiot. I'm already pretty familiar with that expression.
Cup of hot drink. Do you want one?
I'm assuming that like 20 minutes have passed. Oh, okay, sure then. I have no idea how I was supposed to understand what she meant by that, but okay, whatever. To be honest, I'd forgotten that I missed my coffee this morning until now, so that probably explains a lot. At least now I have an excuse for why I'm so slow.
Always drink coffee.
I drink tea, thank you very much.
Yes, always drink and always eat and drink before you try to do work.
I think that is, it doesn't really matter what it is, eat and drink something. I must black out for a moment. There are still awful numbers and spreadsheet columns parading behind my eyes, because the next thing I know, Morik has plonked a streaming china cup of deep red liquid in front of me. Is it blood? Uh-oh.
It's blood.
I don't recognize what it looks like or the smell, but it's tea, I think. And not to be a baby about this, but I don't drink tea. It tastes like cardboard to me. Barely tolerable with lots of milk and about 5 sugars. This person is terrible. I hate them.
There's lots of different kinds.
I'm joking. I don't care if you don't drink tea or not.
Yeah. That's how I felt about tea when I was like 15. But there's lots of different types of tea. They taste different ways.
Yeah, I didn't drink tea until I was in Russia, and my host grandmother thought I was sick because I didn't want to drink any tea, and so finally I started drinking tea. And she was like, "Oh, it was like, have some tea." I'm like, "I don't want any tea." And she's like, "Oh, you must be sick. I must call your professor." And I'm like, "No, okay, I'll drink the tea." And she's like, "Oh, great, you're well again now." And I'm like, "Guess I'm drinking tea every day from now on." There's no other option there available for me.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, it's way too late to protest, so I just look down into the cup with what I'm sure is poorly disguised dread. Morag inhales deeply with her face over her own mug and then sits back down, but I don't escape her scrutiny for long.
What? Are you worried I'll poison you?
She rolls her eyes. No, it's just...
Honestly, Raven, you do know I was kidding about the murder thing, right?
Still at about 99% certainty in that, actually. Besides, not 24 hours ago, I learned monster people are real, Morag. How exactly am I meant to take anything at face value after that? There's a moment of choked silence. She looks like she's trying not to say touche. Anyway, I don't like tea.
Oh.
There's another yawning, painful silence.
I probably should have asked what you wanted before I made it for you, shouldn't I?
Normally people do that, yeah. She deflates a little, casting her own mug aside.
I'm sorry, Raven. It's been a long time since I've had to be a gracious host to anyone. Well, anyone besides Cormac and Esseth, and I already know what they like to drink.
Do you think Cormac drinks a bowl of water?
Mm-hmm. Or gravy.
Despite myself, I find myself smiling a little. She's so outwardly curt, but it's already becoming pretty obvious to me that the razor edges don't go too deep. I mean, if they did, she'd probably have gotten rid of Cormac by now, since he obviously annoys her so much. It's fine, Morag. No big deal. What kind of tea is this, anyway? She brightens a little.
A customary blend, actually. Mostly hibiscus, that's why it's red.
I really like hibiscus tea. Tea in quotation marks. The smell is still weirding me out. Do you have any coffee? I can make it myself since you've already sat down. She makes a face.
Is instant okay?
I shrug. I wasn't brought out with standards about these things. Besides, it all tastes good if you put enough sugar in it. I acquaint myself with her fancy kitchen. There's not even one scuff on those pristine black and white enamel doors, which boggles my mind. And we get back to work, though more slowly and with more breaks to chat idly about things. I have a lot of questions about all these monster folks whose forms I'm processing. One thing, and Morag is definitely curious about my life and family, though she's trying to be polite about it. She admits it's been a long time since she spoke to a full-blooded human. And anyways, the work is a little easier now that I'm caffeinated. We told you. We told you.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I find another excuse to dawdle a while later as afternoon begins to bleed in through the windows. Hey Morag, what does this writing say in the margins? There's a scribble note in a handwriting I can't quite decipher. I have no reason to believe it's important information or anything, but I wouldn't be here in the first place if I wasn't a chronic sticky beak.
Huh.
That is not a term I'm familiar with.
I've never heard the term sticky beak.
Yep. Just a regional thing, I guess.
Like a nosy
Probably
person,
a nosy person.
maybe?
Oh, like, oh my gosh. That expression on her face. I pass the form across to Morik, and she blanches immediately.
Oh, that's just from Ida. She's a Cyclops. Usually helps us manage all the crowds at the house every year.
Ida, the Cyclops. I see what you did there. Says the person that wants a pun for the name of our character. Her mouth tightens into a thin line.
That scrawled message is just her making an unsavory reference to something from a few years ago. Nothing to worry about.
In saying so, she buries the paper very deliberately between the couch cushions. But unsavory references are my favorite. Morik doesn't budge. Besides, don't we need to log the information on that form? Morik shoots me a glare, but I know better than to take it seriously by now. I knew the threat of an incomplete spreadsheet would be her kryptonite. And after a moment, Morik does falter, reluctantly taking the form out and uncrumpling it.
She was just making a joke, that's all.
About
the costume she made me wear one year for Halloween before Warehouse even started. I made her promise not to tell anyone, but she swears she has photos, so I'm sure it's only a matter of time.
What do you think it is? I'm so curious.
What costume would this character find embarrassing to wear? She made me wear. You think I did?
BoJack Horseman.
BoJack Horseman. Yeah, I was wondering if it was going to be horse related, maybe a cowboy.
Oh, a cowboy. That definitely sounds like it could be embarrassing. That's a good one. I like that idea. You're going to have to tell me what it was. I promise I'm imagining things that are way more embarrassing than what it actually was.
I'm not sure that's possible.
Go on, Morik. It can't be that bad.
It was a horse costume.
Okay, so we were pretty close. That is pretty embarrassing, though, I have to say. I somehow managed to
It seems redundant to me.
It definitely does. I somehow managed to keep an iron grip on myself, and I don't laugh, though I can stifle the grin. Like one of those brown ones with the mask and two people inside? She groans and buries her head in her hands, which I take as a yes.
Ida was determined to be a cowgirl and me her steed, so I was kind of right.
Yeah, we were close.
Yeah. What's worse is she thought it'd be a great joke for me to be in the horse form while I was in there. So she was a horse wearing a horse costume.
I think that's a great joke.
I think that's hilarious. Yeah, put like a 2-person horse costume on one horse.
Yep, that's a perfect costume.
It was a disaster. I'm sure you noticed that I tend to be covered in seawater for a while whenever I transform, so before long the costume was soaked with all these weird wet spots, and everyone could tell something was up because the suit was way too small for me. just bursting out of that horse costume. Utter disaster. She thinks it's very funny to blackmail me about it sometimes, but...
Mid-sentence, she suddenly stops, putting a hand to her temple. You okay, Morik? Is she overcome with embarrassment about the whole costume thing, or...
It's all right, Raven. This just happens sometimes, after the incident at the farm.
Oh, that's not a promising sentence. I don't think anything good has ever happened after a sentence
not
like that.
ominous at all.
I don't think there's ever been a positive incident at the farm.
No.
I don't know, actually. Incident? What are you talking about?
Oh, I forgot you wouldn't know about that. Anyway, don't worry about it.
Well, I am going to worry about it, so there. You've got my curiosity now, Morik. What kind of incident? She narrows her eyes.
It's none of your concern. What is your concern is that stack of papers in front of you.
I slither down in my seat with a groan. No. But the form under Ida's is one that I can't even read. Morik rolls her eyes.
Fine, hand it over.
I wasn't kidding. It's covered in some kind of scrawling runic alphabet, and none of it is even written in the lines of the form, let alone actually legible. I let things lie for a couple of minutes, letting us work a little while longer in companionable silence, but curiosity is burning in me. I get the courage to ask again, carefully avoiding looking over at her. I'm not going to let this go, Morag. Tell me about your mysterious incident. Go on. I keep my eyes riveted down on the form, carefully tapping away at the spreadsheet. She ignores me just the same, though her typing picks up speed and her fingers are coming down with much more force on the keyboard. What? Is it something super embarrassing, or is it that you can't tell me because you're my boss? Boss in theory, anyway. She sighs heavily, finally indulging me and throwing down her stack of forms on the coffee table.
Fine. So I'm a Kelpie, as you know.
Yeah, Irish mythical creature, right?
You could probably tell from the accent. Yep. Yep, definitely. Definitely been doing an Irish accent this whole time.
Well, like everyone always knows exactly where I'm from the second I start talking. Yeah, that. And the water weeds in your hair. I thought those were just braids.
Nope, those are weeds, I guess. Okay.
And that time I saw you and you wear a horse.
Okay, Raven, honestly. Anyway, Kelpies usually have a bridle in their horse form.
Comes with the package deal. She lets out a kind of humorless snort.
You could say that, sure. Anyway, it appears on a Kelpie's face whenever we transform, and we're not supposed to take it off. But I lost mine, and I'm kind of beholden to the person who has it, technically.
This seems bad. This sounds like it's right out of some mythic tale. Am I supposed to be learning some lesson about humility or not committing adultery or something? How did you lose something like that? You can't spend that much time in horse form, surely. I mean, apart from anything else, you have to climb stairs to get to this apartment.
I was having a bad day, Raven, okay? I decide to go for a run to help calm myself back down, so I drive out to the end of the northern highway and parked somewhere on the side of the road.
I know the area she means, not quite far enough out of the city for farmland, and there are some big housing developments creeping further out into the area, but the blocks are big enough for a few hobby farms and horse properties. What's a horse property?
A property with horses, I suppose.
I guess so, yes, true. It's obvious when you say it that way.
I know I should have been more careful, obviously, but I was too worked up, so I just transformed into horse form behind my car and took off at a gallop down the gravel side street toward the trees.
She takes a sip of her tea, though it must be cold by now.
Before I can get to the river and the cover of the bush, some guy races out from a gate with a halter and manages to corner me in the laneway. I'm panicking, trying to decide whether to kick him or try and jump the fence without a run-up, but he gets the lead rope around my neck and then grabs a hold of my bridle before I can even fight him off. Me, being led into a stable block like a Shetland pony. I've never been so embarrassed in my life.
Mark slams down the teacup with enough force I'm surprised it doesn't shatter. Was he nice to you at least?
I mean, sort of. One of those talkative ones. I didn't dare talk back at him, obviously, since he still thought I was just some normal horse. Now, I don't know who sees a wild horse and just is like, this is my horse now.
I think it's someone who's saying, oh, this belongs to somebody. I'm going to put it in my stable until I can, put up a sign on, what was the name of it? Hex store?
Sign.
Yes, lost
Hex
horse.
Store, yeah.
Found horse.
Or yarp. But the whole time he was telling me how pretty I was and how I was wet, so I must have been sweating a lot, poor thing, so frightened, yada yada. The whole time I was just waiting until he looked away so I could make a run for it. But while I was in the stable, he took my bridle off, so then I was in a real pickle. I spent hours trying to figure out if I should transform back into my human form and try to sneak out somehow, but he wouldn't go away, always dithering about doing something in the yard. It was dark before I could escape, and even then I had to really run for it before he realized what was happening.
So he still has your bridle, right? She flops backwards onto the couch, defeated.
Right. And while he has it, I can't get rid of this weird telepathy thing.
How does it work exactly? You can just feel what he's feeling sometimes?
Depends. The stronger the emotion, the harder I feel it, and the more compelled I am to go and help him with whatever he's doing. Theoretically, if he wanted it badly enough, I'd have no choice other than to drop what I was doing and go serve him.
Gross. Her face says that she's not entirely stoked about this, which I can hardly blame her for. Couldn't you just, I don't know, go up to him in a human form and ask for it back? She looks like me, like I grew a second head, which is not that unlikely given the kinds of people she mixes with.
That's absurd.
I don't think so. You could pretend to be the owner of the horse you found, right? Just tell him you fell off and that the horse bolted or something.
But how am I meant to explain how I know he has it? And anyway, I'm a terrible liar and he'd be bound to notice my pointy teeth or my hair or something. Though, you could do it. You strike me as a good liar.
That's an interesting compliment. How would you feel if someone said that to you, RJ?
You strike me as a good liar. I'd feel terrible.
Like, I would be like a little flattered, but also insulted.
Right, yeah. I think I'd be like, oh, thank you?
Like, what do you mean by this?
Well, what made you come to this conclusion?
I'm going to take that as a compliment, even though it's not true. I'm no good either. Doesn't solve our problem of how we know he has a bridle, though. Just steal it. There's a silence while we both rack our brains, but nothing comes out worth trying. Morag sighs. So that plan's out then.
Don't worry about it, Raven. I'll be fine. It's just inconvenient, that's all.
I think we definitely have to go get this bridle. Sounds more than inconvenience to me, but it's her business after all, so I finally stop prying once she clams back up again and returns to the paperwork. Through some minor miracle, we've actually made our way through a solid pile of the forms, and the sun is only just beginning to set by the time Morag sends me home.
I'll get your tax form and everything sent through tonight as well, so that should all come up through in the next few days.
Thanks. She's so organized, like scarily so. I think that's why it bothers me that she hasn't come up with some sort of plan about how she's going to get her bridle back from that guy. If it's so important to her, maybe she's too scared to, or too busy thinking about all the warehouse work she has left to do. I don't know why, but it strikes me as odd. Not that I'm actively plotting or anything, but I think about it the whole bus ride home. Buses. Miss being on buses. I managed to haul myself out of bed slightly more bright and early than yesterday, which is a huge win as far as I'm concerned. I have coffee and to at least say hi to my family before I sprint out the door. Okay, so it's coming up on 10 o'clock, RJ, and usually I only stream for an hour. Do you want to play a bit more, or what would you like to do?
I could go either way. We could cut off here, and I mean, we could pick it up again another time, or
that'll probably be quite some time from now.
How much more do you think is?
I don't think we're going to finish this, but I would like to play a little bit more. So let's do a little bit more and see what we can get through. I'm digging this. I want to find out what happens. I'm also so curious about like what the other routes are like, because I feel like they're probably they're not about getting bridles back.
Right. Yeah.
I guess like maybe collars.
What?
Maybe a collar for Cormac.
Yeah. He was wearing a collar.
Yeah.
Maybe with Esith you have to like help them like dispose of a statue body.
Oh, grim. I packed food this time too, just leftovers from the fridge, but there aren't any cafes or anything near Morag's house like I was expecting. And besides, I shouldn't really be spending money since I haven't been paid for this job yet, right? She'd managed to cobble something together for us to eat while we worked yesterday, but it strikes me Morag didn't really plan for that either. Today, Morag has me answering the phone. She actually has a landline installed in her apartment. What a weirdo. What a freak. That's the most monstrous thing about this, having a landline. Another thing that sets her apart from any humans her age, because I don't even think I know anyone who owns one of those anymore. So she stations me next to it with the little stack of leftover forms from yesterday to file between calls. Then she takes herself over to the lounge with her cell phone and starts calling people. Caterers at first, it sounds like, to feed the hordes of people who are coming to work at the haunted house. Then she moves on to badgering people who haven't sent in a waiver form yet. I guess now I'm a personal assistant too? This whole thing is going to be a great experience for my resume if I can somehow edit out all the points about monsters. I'm more caffeinated than yesterday, and initially there's nerves about answering the phone to keep me awake too, but I settle back into that sleepy kind of feeling before too long. It's not that hard to keep on top of phone calls, really. Mostly I just write down whatever the person was calling about and a return number somewhere I can call them back when she's done. One time it was someone calling to correct a wrong detail in the form, wrong address, and they'd listed their gender as Dragonborn, which was hilarious and kind of a big mood, but didn't fit into the drop-down menu in the spreadsheet.
Oh, wonderful.
Since I had the login to the spreadsheet account, I could actually fix it myself without even adding to Morag's workload. This made me feel pretty accomplished. After that, though, I started feeling sleepy again. Jeez, maybe all this time I've spent getting really good at being unemployed has made me lose my edge. No comment. The phone is quiet for more than a few minutes, so I make some headway into the shrinking pile of forms. But before long, I get distracted again. Morag is halfway through a heated argument on the phone. Well, her version of a heated argument, which is very quiet and much scarier than if she were actually yelling. Anyway, she's preoccupied, so I feel pretty safe sliding my cell phone out of my pocket and unlocking it behind the desk out of her field of vision. What are those stickers? Sharks?
Are they wolves?
Yeah, foxes? Some sort of thing. Rainbow flag? Normally, I'd never dared be on my phone during work hours. Even for me, that's pretty lazy. But this will be all for her own benefit, right? Gorgon search! I open Gorgon search and start typing. Okay, so like I don't get like people don't know that monsters are real. But there's all these like things like Gorgon search and hexed door, which are clearly magical things. Like,
yeah.
What is a Kelpie? Oh my gosh.
I mean,
I also, like, I have a laptop. Why don't I just do it on my laptop? Kelpie mythology, not dog. Is a Kelpie a type of dog?
Maybe. Now I want to take out my phone and...
Ebrae Kelpie bridle. Steal something without technically committing theft. Did you mean how to steal something without technically committing theft? I like this a lot. That's very fun.
What are you doing?
She says it in that flat, icy tone that I think she usually reserves for telling off Cormac, and it sends a little shiver up my spine. How long has she been standing there? Uh-oh. Nothing. Just looking up something up for a caller on the phone. No big deal. I almost planned to pick up the landline headset and mime a whole fake conversation, but I can't do it. She's pinning me in place with that stare of hers. I like that the Kelpie is the one with the, like, icy stare that freezes people. Like, not the Gorgon. It's just like, no, this is the one. This is the person whose stare you have to be afraid of.
Raven, what were you actually doing?
I feel myself deflate a little. I wasn't kidding yesterday. I really am a terrible liar. Listen, I don't want to tell you how to live your life or whatever, but I really do think you should do something about this whole bridal thing. She rolls her eyes immediately and turns her body away from me, folding her arms. Don't you feel weird about it, though?
Obviously, yes.
Well, then?
I wish I'd never told you. I'll take care of it, Raven, just not right now.
She's not much of a better liar than I am. Well, what's your plan, then, to take care of it later? She shrugs.
Deal with it until it went away?
That's not a plan, Morag. That's what I was about to say. I was mostly looking this up just because I was curious, but now a little bit of concern really is starting to snake its way in. What happens to the feverishly organized, in-control Morag I thought I knew? Granted, I met her like 2 days ago, but still.
I was going to say.
Yeah. You gotta look after yourself better than that, Morag. I'm an expert at pretending my problems don't exist, but I sure as hell don't let my friends do it. Her eyes widen a little at that last part, but she caves a little, shrinking away from me. Sure, yes. And anyway, what if something happened with the bridal during the haunted house? Maybe you have to go running off to help him then, or something, and then your cover is blown. She flops down on the seat next to me, all her usual grace gone.
Fine. You're right, I suppose. What's your bright idea, then?
How about we... Oh, shit. Pretend to be tax salesman. Send him a letter from a lawyer. Make him think that the bridal's haunted. Okay, I'm going to save. Because this is an important save point. So, save. Here we go. Okay. Return to game. My vote is make him think the bridal's haunted. That seems like the plan least likely to work, but also the one that I am most excited about. What is your opinion, RJ?
Yeah, I think pretend to be a tax salesman is bad.
We've established we're bad liars.
Yep. Send him a letter from a lawyer. I think appeals the most to this like organized paperwork character.
True.
I make him think the bridal's haunted does seem like the most fun. Like if this was a game of D&D, that is something I can see like the group going with.
Definitely. Although let me tell you, in the game of D&D I'm playing right now, the next session I believe is going to be me going and finding a lawyer to declare us legally dead. So that we can get into this place that only dead creatures are supposed to be able to get to. I don't know, maybe not a lawyer, maybe some something. So that is some sort of combination of the two of those. Okay, I'm going to go with the bridal is haunted. That is the one that I think will be most fun, at least.
All right.
How about we make him think that the bridal's haunted until he doesn't want it anymore? She burst out with a disbelieving laugh.
Well, we made her laugh.
True.
Raven, now you have to admit that sounds outlandish.
I shrug. Sounds silly, but that doesn't mean it won't work. Probably means it's more likely to work, to be honest with you. Besides, you help run a haunted house, so you should be able to use that experience to creep out one guy, no problem.
I suppose so. But it seems like that'd take a lot of time, right? And how do we convince him that it's the bridal that's haunted and not him or his house?
That's a good point, I guess. Maybe the idea is a bust.
Well?
She looks at me expectantly.
What do we do then? You're the one with all the bright ideas.
To be honest with you, Morag, I think our only choice is to go outside the law on this one.
I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
I mean, I'm a good citizen and everything, but sometimes you gotta take things into your own hands. Oh, nighttime.
We're doing a crime?
Spooky, you're gonna do a crime.
I can't believe I let you talk me into this.
Neither can I, to be honest. You're the one who couldn't think of any better ideas. We saw it walking away from the bus stop. It's a miracle there's even a bus route that runs all the way out here, and Morag stalks ahead of me, fast enough that I have to jog to keep up. What happened to Morag's car?
Did she have a car?
Didn't it say that she drove out there?
Yeah, it says she drove out there. Oh, maybe. Well, so here's the thing. She did turn into a horse and then get kidnapped for a little while. So maybe her car got I assume her car got towed in that time.
She seems responsible enough to go and get her car back.
To get it. Yeah.
Although
I don't know.
Do the monsters, does all of their income come solely from this Halloween house?
Haunted house. Yeah.
I think
she has
maybe
a very nice apartment.
This game that was made in a month, it's not worth delving too deeply into the background.
into the lore.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Let's go over the plan.
I wasn't where we even had a plan other than sneak into the stable yard and steal the bridle somehow. Hit me.
We've got about 10 minutes of walking until we get there. As far as I know, there aren't any dogs there. Didn't smell them when I was in horse form there, at least, so we should be pretty safe. As long as we're quiet and careful, and we don't spook any of the horses, we should be fine.
Do you think Mora could talk to horses? Do you think that's a ability Kelpies have?
I don't know.
I've never really been around horses before. What do I do to keep them chill? Marga's starting to look even more like she's regretting this.
I mean, just don't make any loud noises or move around too fast. Hopefully they're all out in the paddock overnight anyway this time of year, so we might get lucky.
The bitumen underfoot turns to gravel, so Marga and I slow down, walking more carefully as we approach the property. Okay, so by that word, I definitely know that this person is not from North America. Do you know what that one is? Bitumen?
We should have been doing accents for everybody.
That's like asphalt.
Mm.
Road material.
Yeah, I was not familiar with that term.
Okay. Yes, I am able to translate for you. Not the other thing. The beak thing. Though we could figure that out from context. Okay. Mm-hmm. She's got an iron grip on her face.
Huh.
That's a strange phrase.
Yeah.
But I can tell by the set of Morag's shoulders that this is the right address. They're nearly touching her ears.
Her shoulders. Okay.
Yes, I figured that out. It's a nice property, I guess. There's a big stable building hugging a courtyard in a big L shape and a little yards behind it, filled with big shadows I can only assume are horses. From what I hear, the stable itself seems to be pretty empty, but Morag goes up to one of the big windows and presses her ear against it. Should have asked her if being a Kelpie comes with any useful skills, like superhearing or something, other than like saltwater creation.
Or talking to horses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Either way, after a moment, she motions me onward, and we tiptoe towards the door on the left side of the building and into the stable. It's dark in here, really dark, but from what I can make out, it's kind of messy inside. The air is heavy with the smell of straw and horses, and nobody's swept for ages. I try to squint down the aisle where the horse boxes are, but Morag isn't wasting any time. She tugs me forward and makes a beeline in a half run towards the far wall. She's rifling? I don't know. Now I don't know the word.
I think it's rifling.
Yeah, really noisily, I might add. Oh, okay. Now I understand. I thought that was some sort of running related thing. She's rifling really noisily, I might add, through a crate in the corner. Now I get it. So I look along the wall where there are some racks hung that seem to hold up saddles and stuff. It's really hard to see anything though, and Morag hasn't given me much of an idea what made her bridle stand out from anything else. Suddenly I'm having trouble remembering what a bridle actually looks like. It's the bit horses put in their mouths?
Yeah, I think so.
After a few minutes, Morag abandons her pile of boxes in the corner and comes to join me at the wall. But just as she turns to me, both of us hear something. A snort from down the hallway and some kind of impact. Hoof against door, maybe. Shit, so there are horses in here. Morag jumps at the noise. So do I, to be honest, and knocks something with her hand. And with a crash, jars of treats and silver hardware come pouring out of a nearby box onto the ground. It sounds almost as loud as a gunshot, or many, many gunshots all at once. If the horses were uneasy...
doing such a bad job.
Yeah, like, come on. It wouldn't be like a heist if it didn't go terribly wrong.
It's true.
If the horses were uneasy before at us being in the here... If the horses were being uneasy before at us being in here before, now they're outright panicked. They don't neigh as much in real life as they do in the movies, I guess. But there's definitely a lot of noise coming from the stalls, as well as the racket we're making. Panic crawls up my spine. That's got to be audible for miles around. Their owner must have woken up by now. Can't you do something? Transform and neigh at them to be quiet or something? I hiss it under my breath, but I still feel like talking isn't helping the situation.
Don't be stupid, Raven. If I could, don't you think I would have thought of that?
Okay, so check talking to horses off the special powers list. She ignores me after that, rifling desperately along the wall that we can't even see for her bridle. It just now occurs to me that I could have used the torch on my phone or something, but it's too late for that.
Yeah, guys.
I can't turn it on now in case someone...
Bad heist.
Yeah, coming over to check the noise sees. They didn't plan this very well at all. Though, to be fair, I blame Morag for that because she didn't be like, this is what my bridle looks like. This is what we need to look for. I guess I can be excused for my lack of experience at breaking and entering. Ah, this one. That's it. I'm saying it.
That might be a miss.
I think that is a mistake.
Yeah, that was a mistake, yeah.
Morag must have it in her hands, but I can't see to confirm. And even worse, what I can see behind her is light approaching from the doorway we left open. Someone's coming.
Uh-oh.
I run away from the light, trying to think of some other way out of here. But the way we came in is the only door on the side.
Window!
I haul on the sill with all my might, but it's rusted shut and only manages a dull creak. I'm trying.
What if... I don't think you can get shot in this game, but...
Morag appears at my elbow, and together we haul the window open, though it squeals from years of apparent unuse, the sound riling up the stable full of horses even more. I'm halfway out when we're suddenly bathed in bright yellow light, and a voice comes from behind us in the doorway. Hello? Who's there?
Hello? Who's there?
Okay.
Oh, we both did it.
We hurl ourselves out the window and onto the grass outside, Morag holding the bridle in a death grip. But I can't see any way we can get out of the sight before he gets to the window and sees us. The paddock stretches out for ages past here with no cover. I'd run around the building.
She's gonna turn into a horse. She's gonna turn into a horse for the She's her own getaway car.
To be honest, I'm not too busy thinking of ideas because I'm having to put all my energy into not freaking out. I don't want to go to jail. You're not gonna go to jail for this. Even if we're stealing something that technically
belongs... They are a person of color.
Fair. Very fair. I had not considered that. Sigh. Even if we're stealing something that technically belongs to us, I don't know if the courts will take this bridle actually belongs to my friend who is a magic horse sometimes as a reasonable defense. Won't know until you try it. Morag nudges me with an elbow and shoves something into my hands. The bridle, I realized, the bit and oiled leather somehow still shiny in the half-light before taking a deep breath. What do we do now? No other choice. Ride me.
No. That's my line.
I'm sorry.
You stole the ride me line.
Go for it. Say it.
No other choice. Ride me.
I feel like in most visual novels when it says that, it's a lot more explicit.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Maybe now isn't the right time for that. Wait, what are you? I stopped short. It's hard to see in the half-light, though. The guy with the torch is still getting closer and throwing everything into deeper shadows and harsh highlights. But I think she's transforming. Ooh, I'm right. There's a spray of briny water from where Morag had been standing, which would be super gross under any other circumstances. But I'm so sweaty from all the stress that the cool water is kind of a welcome refresher. In her place stands that big, dark horse from earlier.
Hurry up.
I was really hoping that Morag was just going to neigh, but I forgot that she talked earlier.
She does. She's a talking horse.
Yeah. I start. Kind of forgot she could talk in horse form, to be honest. I did too. But there's no time for anything else, so I clumsily haul myself up onto her back, though it takes a lot of upper body strength that I definitely do not have much of. She's really tall. As soon as I'm vaguely up on her withers, Morag takes off at a gallop. RJ, do you think you can get on a horse? How good are your horse riding skills?
Oh boy. I don't know. It really depends on the size of the horse. If it has a saddle on it, probably.
I'm thinking that like maybe out of panic, I could do it. Mm-hmm. Like the adrenaline of like being able to just jump up on top of it might help. And this horse is probably helping just as much as it can.
Right, yeah.
I've never ridden a horse before, not unless a pony ride when I was 5 counts, and certainly not without a saddle, so it's all I can do to stay on, especially when Morag has to do some serious skidding and sliding to get around the fence line and into the driveway. There was no time to put the bridle on her either, so I end up looping the headpiece over my shoulder so I can use my other hand to hold on. Soon enough, the farm is far behind us. I have no idea where we are, but I slide off Morag's back, trying to ignore my wobbly legs and the pins and needles in my feet. Now human again, Morag folds her arms and refuses to make eye contact with me.
Do not speak of this to anyone else, or I will personally make sure you regret it.
What a great date we've been on. Perfect first date.
I mean, we got her bridle back.
Pretty sure she means, thank you for your help. I accept your thanks, Morag.
I thought we would, because you were still holding the bridle, I thought we were going to have like a moment where she can...
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that.
And can tell you have a crush on her or something.
Oh, that would have been cute. It's dawn of the final day before Halloween.
Dawn of the final day.
But not dawn, really. It's 10 a.m. before I get to Morag's house that day. The bus is late, and I have a few chores to do around the house before I can leave. But Morag doesn't seem to mind much. We've managed to catalog every last form, after all, and there isn't much left to do for me, at least. Morag is still on and off the phone every 5 minutes. Okay, this is the one thing that I'm very confused at. Catalog is spelled the American way.
It is, yeah.
Everything else is not being spelled the American way, so curious.
Interesting.
That is definitely librarians noticing.
Right, yeah. Sorry, Raven, you were saying something?
We're sat in our lounge again over cups of hot. I'd been telling her a story about something one of my younger siblings had done that morning, but I was kind of relieved to be cut off by a phone call, to be honest. The story wasn't very good. It's okay, no big deal.
Everyone is starting to arrive, that's all. They tend to ring me when they get to town, so I can tell them what needs to be done on site.
Isn't Cormac supposed to be the one in charge? Why don't they call him? Morag snorts a laugh.
Sure, he's great with people face to face, but it'd be a miracle if Cormac actually remembered to charge his phone, let alone bring it anywhere. Nobody can get a hold of Vesith either, so that just leaves me.
I think Cormac probably uses like a flip phone.
Uh-huh. He's got a BlackBerry.
Oh my gosh, yes. How come? Strikes me Ethis is the kind of person to have their phone on them at all times.
One of Ethis' snakes ate their phone once, so they just don't answer calls anymore, just messages.
That's a great excuse not to pick up the phone, but geez. Reminds me of that photo with the snake who ate the alligator. The snake must have been square-shaped for a while, right? I try to stop thinking about that. About just where things might have actually go once they're eaten by Eseth snakes. Into their brain, maybe? Yeah, I don't want to think about that either. Not worth thinking about.
Anyway, all the paperwork is squared away, so finish your coffee. We should get down to the warehouse and check on things.
Also, so it's the day before Halloween, and the Halloween haunted house isn't open yet? Is this open for one night?
Yeah, it seems like not a good business model to only open on the night of Halloween. I understand it's for the structure of the game.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Don't you mean warehouse? Cormac is right. You really can hear the E. Morgan and I head downstairs into her car. Suddenly she has a car.
Okay. Did she like drive most of the way to the farm and then they just walked? Maybe
no,
so they didn't like
bus.
make car noise coming up to the farm.
Okay. Head downstairs into her car and down the road to the warehouse, ironically closer to my house than hers. So there wasn't much point in me coming all the way here, but whatever. Having tea in her apartment was nice. She's not that bad to be around. Not nearly as bad as I thought. And I started drinking tea now. Look at this. I was right. The spiky edges don't go very far down into her real self at all. The warehouse itself is almost a different place than when we arrive. The building itself doesn't look any different, but it was a whole different feeling now that there are actually people here. And boy, are there people here. It's only a few so far, but the place is seething with activity in comparison to its normal derelictness, and Morag assures me that there are only going to be more coming tomorrow on the actual day.
I feel bad the people who like made this in a month. Oh, adorable.
This is so cute. This is better than what I can make in a month. So like, congratulations.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Haunted house, Halloween night, $5 in advance, $7 at the door. I don't think you're gonna make your money.
Yeah, that's like for one night.
Apparently most of the construction happens tomorrow, but there are already a few signs and posters up with a hand-drawn logo that is cute, I guess, or quaint maybe. Who do you think more? Do you think Cormac drew it?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. I do.
Either way, it's certainly eye-catching. Oh.
Ooh,
we don't even have time to walk into the big doorway of the warehouse before Mara gets leapt on by a tall figure with long, bright pink hair and only one eye in the center of her forehead.
It's our Cyclops. Ida.
It's muffled by the other person's shoulder, but I can still hear her as Morag's voice gets right back to the flat, icy sound I remember from when we first met. Despite myself, there's a little shiver between my shoulder blades at the tone of it. I wonder if this art maybe isn't finished.
Yeah, if this is version 1.0 of the game.
I think I'd forgotten how scary she could be.
Oh, do you want to be Ida?
Sure. Morag, darling, don't look at me like that. How are you? It's been so long. Morag shoots me a look over the Cyclops' shoulder, part desperately resigned, and part a very clear instruction for me to get out of here. Might be wise to make myself scarce. Okay. I wander further through the big double doors and into the warehouse. Funny, really, since I've spent 3 days helping organize things, but I've still never been inside. It looks like a warehouse. Not very Halloween.
Yep.
You
guys are not going to have time to do the setup.
No. Well, they're magic. I guess they can use magic powers.
I guess maybe there's magic.
I can kind of see why they chose the place. Sure, it's not in great nick from the outside, but the inside is much nicer. At this time of day, there's quite a lot of light streaming in from the windows and the roof, and the ceiling is really high, which gives it a sort of lofty quality. It's mostly one wide open space, but there's a couple of little rooms and a corridor at the other end of the L shape, which seem to be storage for equipment and stuff, at least for now. In one room is a whole pile of costumes and fabric, some big bolts with landscapes and spooky trees painted on them, which are big enough that they look like a whole stage backdrop. Next door is a room full of wires and lights, I think. I try not to touch anything, anyway, since I have no idea what most of this even is. Before long, Cormac finds me wandering around, luckily, before I can somehow do any damage to anything.
Raven, hi! We missed you!
Hey, Cormac. Supposedly, he's been working non-stop for 2 days, but his energy levels certainly haven't dropped any.
Now, Morag hasn't been too cruel to you, has she?
He leans in closer, all fake conspiratorial. I cannot say that word. Which would be much cuter if he didn't have a pale green fire seeping from his grinning mouth. A pale green fire?
Do werewolves
Wild.
have magic breath?
They do now.
Mm-hmm.
No, we got into some trouble, but it was totally my fault, so...
Trouble? Really? What did you do? Delete the spreadsheet?
His ears droop.
I only did that one time, and she still won't let me live it down.
She did have a few incriminating stories about you, yeah. He sighs dramatically and leans against the wall, near swooning.
So cruel. To think my greatest friend would throw me under the bus.
Greatest friend, huh? I can tell you guys are super close, right? Okay. What do you think the sides of Cormac's head are like? Is it just smooth where there would be like, usually?
I guess maybe there's just like hair.
Just more hair.
More hair.
That seems...
Just like there's no sideburn hair distinction. It's just all hair.
I get that seems better than just having blank space. Which seems weird to me.
Just having smooth, hairless skin. Yeah.
But I don't know. Greatest friend, huh? I can tell. You guys are super close, right? He perks up again immediately. It's giving me whiplash just trying to keep up with him. Oh. Wrong name.
Yep. I assume this is Cormac. Oh, yep. Yes. We've known each other for years. Since childhood, actually. It's
a miracle Morag hasn't worried herself to death in the meantime. I guess Cormac needs someone very different as a best friend to balance him out. By the way, is there anything I can do to help out right now? Morag is still busy handling people as they come in to start helping, I think, but she told me she can handle it. That's a lie. I just don't want to interrupt her and Ida. I suspect there's more history there than she told me. Also, I'll probably be right before long, since Morag's been fielding so many phone calls from people on their way here, so the lie will hardly hurt.
Oh, of course, here. We're setting up the first pathway groups we'll take into the warehouse, so you can help me take all the draperies over there and hang them on the hangers.
I don't know how much my noodly arms are going to be, how much help my noodly arms are going to be, but sure. Carmack and I busy ourselves for a bit, moving things back and forth from the storage areas, him chattering the whole way. He doesn't even stop to breathe. Then Esseth finds us and tasks us with helping them hook up some complicated lighting system, which I don't even pretend to know anything about. All I do know is that I spend what feels like years gaffer taping everything to the floor. Are you familiar with gaffer tape? No?
What?
Are you familiar with gaffer tape, RJ?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Okay. I'm never sure if that's one that people in North America know or not. Anyway, that takes up another half hour, by which time Morag seems to have freed herself from Ida's grip. Okay, I think now, before we get into anything else, I think we're going to stop the stream.
Okay.
We did the big thing. We did the heist. I'm excited about that. I'm very glad we did the heist.
We had a grand adventure.
Yes, but we're not going to have a chance to finish this. This is fun, though. I'm going to probably finish it off stream. But let's go back to this one. Hi. Yes, thanks for joining me on this stream. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let us know what you think our default name should be for our characters in future games. We don't get to name everyone, but I want to know what you think they should be. And if you're interested in the podcast, Book Club for Masochists, a Reader's Advisory podcast, it comes out the first and third Tuesday of every month. You can go to Book Club 4M. 4 is in the numeral. It's right. Where do I point? Right there.
Or
you can just search for it. True. Or you can just search for it on any podcast places, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all those sorts of places. And we did an episode about visual novels relatively recently, so you can go and find that one if you want to. And I'll be streaming again another spooky stream next Friday evening as well at the same time. So come and join us for that if you are into it, or you can catch it on YouTube as well. So I also need a good sign out. I don't have a closing thing to say on these things. So just like...
Stay spooky.
Stay spooky, spooks.
Stay safe and stay spooky.
Yeah, true. Stay safe and stay spooky. There's my sign off. Bye, all.
Bye.